We are introducing a new segment on today's program, and I'm definitely looking forward to this one. We got to know this lovely young lady to the left of me, if we can give her a microphone, Bilal, on Friday's show. Basically, I made sure she was good on Friday to put her in here on Monday. It was like the minor league system, and she's great on air, and she's very knowledgeable with what she talks about. Here for the Cannabis Report that we're going to do every single Monday at 4:20 is brought to you by Boveda, by the way, bovedainc.com. Is Melissa Rolston. Hi, Melissa.
Hey, what's up?
You got to talk a little louder in the microphone.
Hey, what's up?
There you go. So this is the deal. We had an ID made, okay, and I believe we have Drew Emmer on the phone as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Drew's on, and we'll get to Drew in a moment there. Now, we had an ID made. I was very clear to my team on how you pronounce Boveda. Keep in mind, I deal with like 23-year-old millennials who don't listen. They just So this is the ID they came out with, and I just thought it was ready, and I mean it is ready, but this is the result.
It's time for the 420 Weed Report, brought to you by Boveda with Melissa Rolston.
Boveda. Bilal was here. How much more clear? Could I have been any more clear on how I was like, Boveda, like I couldn't have been any more, Boveda. I couldn't have been any more clear.
Here's what we do next time. We tattoo the photonetic pronunciation on Brian's arm, and then when he goes home and does it 7 days later, he'll remember.
All right, that's
easy
also,
peasy.
Yeah,
There's
also just a stupid idea. But I mean, how about just listen? Okay.
Or that, yeah.
How about millennials just listen? And so the news when it comes to 420 is rampant. Every day there's something going on. You guys live in LA, actually, Laura and Caitlin.
Yeah,
where it's legal and people smoke it freely. You guys partake
all the time.
We do.
Yes, I do.
Are you medical? Are you medically what is it called, Melissa?
Are you a medical patient or are you a
Recreational.
You're rec, eh? What's up?
Yeah, we're so rec.
You rep the recs.
But are you medicating and you don't know you're medicating? Because if you're anxious from your career, that would be using it medically.
Would that be sativa or indica that would help with that? Because I've realized I like sativa.
Well, I don't really like to classify things as sativa or indica because it's not scientifically correct.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you know your weed.
That's why she does this weed report.
Sometimes my boyfriend makes me smoke weed to calm down because I'm always just like, let's go do this and let's go on a bike ride and then let's go like climb a mountain and then let's do this and this.
And he's like,
okay.
Oh, like your string was pulled?
Yes.
He's like, please chill.
Yes.
Out.
So
you know what I found out in LA though, which
me.
I thought was cool, that if you go into a weed shop, they're called bud tenders.
Yeah.
Which I thought was neat, like a bartender,
and we went
for weed.
Yeah.
Yes, we went to Denver, Colorado, and we bought our first weed
at a
legally.
dispensary.
How do you say I bought my weed?
Medical marijuana.
You purchased your cannabis legally?
Yes, that's a much better.
Well, Caitlin
cooler way to
bought
say it.
chocolate.
I was an idiot. I panicked
bought
and I was
this
like,
purple
buy
haze
weed
stuff.
chocolate. And then nobody wanted it after. They're like, oh, why'd you buy that? I was like,
Edibles
I don't
are
know.
scary.
I panicked.
Just start low, go slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Always.
You know, that's a line that I've used before in the past. I'm just putting it out there. Melissa, it's nice to have you here. What is making the rounds in the marijuana community today?
So just last week, Bill C-45 passed the second reading in the House of Commons, and it's moving to the committee. So any stakeholders are invited to participate. So what you can do is you can either submit a writing submission before the August 18th at 11:59 EDT, or you can also request to be a witness to appear. For the committee.
This is for
legalization.
Yeah, the process of legalization, and now it's tabling over at the House of Commons, and so these steps are taking place to make it legal for probably around next July 2018. Correct?
They made a mandate for July 1st. So I was speaking with some lawyers this past weekend, and they said if the mandate's made, then it has to happen then.
Really?
Yeah.
Canada. So I mean, what does this mean for investors? Because I'm an investor more than I am a consumer.
Ooh, that's smart.
Yeah.
It means
it is smart.
You better figure out who you want to invest in.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So it's. I mean, is it like a promising time then for Canadians who feel that medical marijuana should be legal, and obviously those who
medical marijuana has been legal for 18 years.
For recreational. Yeah, it's been legal for 18 years.
Yeah, we've had the MMAR program. It was started 18 years ago, and it was built on the HIV community.
Okay, I see.
fact.
No idea. Who knew? For 18 years. And then how are the activists taking to this? What's going on with the raids and stuff?
So Canna Clinic was just raided last week, and there's 12 warrants issued at storefronts and private residences, which resulted in 6 arrests. So the 12 of them were issued in Toronto. 7 of the warrants were for storefronts, 5 were for private residences. And Mark Pagash, I think that's how you say his last name.
All right.
He's the Toronto Police Services spokesperson, and he said that they'll continue to enforce the law if we charge people with repeated offenses. That's an issue for the courts to deal with.
So what?
They're standing by that.
I want to put this out to our guests, Laura and Caitlin here from Cheap Smokes. What do you think about them raiding like these clinics that are selling, I guess, really marijuana legally? Technically, because right now it's illegal.
Yeah.
Because they're not selling it to only people with medical licenses, right?
So the legal regime right now is that only those authorized by the federal government, aka licensed producers, are allowed to distribute marijuana. However, that being said, there's been dispensaries in Toronto for over 20 years that were raided previously, but then they were told they were allowed to stay. So when this whole Wild West scenario started happening, and all these people kind of jumped into the industry before legalization happened, it kind of caused this whole little
Right.
scenario. I don't even know how to explain it. Yeah.
No, I kind of get it. I mean, I guess it's like a slippery slope kind of thing. And eventually you sort of have to be like, okay, we have to stop this. Otherwise, what's going to happen? Where is it going to go? So I get it. If you're saying that like people just started popping up without it being legalized or for them to do
I think it comes down to who's actually doing this for the patients or who is being greedy.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Right.
like I've worked in a dispensary before. I worked in a dispensary before this whole Wild West scenario happened.
In Toronto?
Yeah, they paid her in weed. No, I don't know.
Actually, they probably paid.
Oh,
some
I've
people.
gotten paid in weed and beer.
In
tickets.
Toronto, though?
That happens all the time.
No, I
Oh,
had a paycheck. I had no, I didn't have benefits, but
Yeah, and
so
the only thing I'll
taxes.
say, and I've said this to Jodie Emery herself, and I would say it to Mark if he ever came back on the program, is that I do think at some point, like activists have gotten what they've wanted to get. They've been fighting hard for this. They've been fighting, for forever, for decades, and I appreciate what they've done. In fact, I admire the fact that people would fight so hard for something they'd go to jail for, because I would never do that. I don't care what
Are
I
you sure?
believe. Like, if I believed in something so strongly, like protecting Bilal's job here, I'd never go to jail for that. I just wouldn't do that. And so anyway, but at some point, it's like now that we're going through this crossover, there's of course going to be some laws while they legalize it, some sort of like clauses in those laws or amendments and stuff that they don't agree with, but it's got to start, like you said, it's got to start somewhere. So let's just let it start somewhere, and then kind of see where it goes from there, I think.
The law term, which I actually learned this past weekend, is they're going to start it somewhere and then they add the plumbing in. So it's going to start very, very strict and regulated, and then they'll add everything
I've
else
also
into
used
it.
that line before.
Oh, I bet.
I had to.
Zingers.
Do we have Drew Emmer on the program, CEO of Boveda Inc.? Drew, are you there?
I am here, but you overestimated my title. I'm Strategic Relationships for Boveda, and had the privilege of meeting Melissa in Toronto. So hello, everyone, and we're very excited to be a part of this.
Oh, thanks, Drew. You can just
Drew.
call yourself CEO. Why not,
Yeah.
Just
Take
be a
it.
boss.
Take the
Just be a
deal.
boss.
That's great.
So tell us a little bit about Boveda, if you wouldn't mind. I mean, I obviously know it from what I've seen on the website and from our discussions and stuff, but I figured, instead of me just pretending as an authentic speaker of a new product that I'm working with, sitting here and kind of BSing people like I've known it for years, why not just have it right from your mouth, because you know it a lot better than I do.
Well, 20 years ago, this company in Minnesota created a product that kept cigars fresh. And about 5 years later, the guitar industry, the musical instruments industry, came to us because they wanted to keep fine instruments in good shape. So we created a product for them. And then about 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago now, the cannabis enthusiasts out west were going to cigar stores and buying our little packets to keep their cannabis from drying out, and a whole new industry was born for us. So we've been traveling the United States and Canada and all over the place to promote our product, and we came across the wonderful and talented Melissa Rolston in Toronto and discovered when I met her that she loves Boveda, and that's how this all got started. So now we're here with you, Todd, on your, by the way, thank you for having this wonderful show to promote understanding and sanity about the wonders that this natural plant can do for people. And I think it's going to change the way we operate, I know, as Americans and Canadians and citizens of the world. I just think it's going to be a much more wonderful place to live as people discover the benefits of addressing their anxiety and addressing, and even the freedom, just the notion of being free to choose to enjoy cannabis if you desire. I mean, it's a really big deal. So we can't thank you enough for taking a stand and having a show and inviting wonderful people on to stand up for everybody's rights to access to this awesome plant.
Laura Danowski there wants to give you applause.
Clap. That was so well said. Wow.
Oh, what a speaker.
Drew is an
beautiful.
absolute sweetheart.
My God.
And Drew, no, and the truth is,
I wish he was here. Want to hug him.
we want to give you a big hug. I always do everything from the heart, Drew, and I'm the first to admit that I'm not the biggest user of cannabis, but those that I know that use it, especially to deal with a lot of their I don't want to say problems in life, but their ailments in life, whether it's physical ailments or anxiety, like we speak of. You read the studies on anything from epilepsy to how cancer patients deal with it, and it's like it only makes sense. And one of the things when I was doing the research on Boveda, which I really appreciated you guys as a company, I think it was Charlie who admitted, part of your company admitted that he had some pains and he started using cannabis and it got rid of his pains and helped him golf again and things like that. But also, so I like the fact that you're helping end the stigma as business folks as well, right? Like, I mean, that's an important path to sort of conquer. But the big fight against opiates and opioids and things like that, where I mean, there is so many prescribed medications that the more and more research that comes in, this stuff is pretty evil, and it looks like we're kind of just protecting big pharma at this point rather than caring about human beings. And how can you speak to that, Drew?
Well, personally, the reason I'm excited about cannabis is not because I personally enjoy ingesting cannabis into my system. I've been in recovery for a long time, and I don't enjoy cannabis, but I've been exposed to a lot of people that have suffered under the burden of opiate addiction, and I lost somebody very near and dear to me, a young man that overdosed on heroin. And I have become so optimistic and so enthusiastic about what proper cannabis usage can do for people that suffer from addiction to opiates. Make no mistake, there's a place in the medical community for opiates, for intense pain and for surgery and things like that. But the unintended consequences that are happening in our society where people are getting completely derailed by the opiate epidemic, I'm very excited about what cannabis can do. And, I got to do a shout out to Canada, not just to suck up to you guys, but this is the first G7 nation in the world to have border-to-border legalization of cannabis. This is a country that is leading the world. Between Canada and Israel, the level of research, the level of openness about being able to address this is absolutely stunning, wonderful. It's a blessing to all of us that are going to hopefully get our acts together and follow suit to support what the Canadians and the Israelis are doing for this movement. And it is a movement. Make no mistake, this is a movement about people having the opportunity to address their pain and enjoy themselves, for the medical and the recreational person. But personally, Todd, I don't take cannabis. I use a lot of CBD oil. I'm all over that, and I'm very interested in what these plants can do for us. But that's just where I'm coming from personally.
Well, I appreciate the candidness with that. Quickly, the two-way humidity control packs, which is what Boveda is. Explain about how, I wouldn't know. Again, I'm pretty naive to the stuff. Melissa, I'm sure would know better. But in terms of what it means to keep your cannabis fresh, really.
Cannabis, especially in Canada, gets dried down to a pretty low level. So if you don't revive it with some genuine two-way humidity control, you're going to deal with basically a harsh smoke, or you're going to lose some of the medical efficacy of the flower, because terpenes are constantly escaping from that organic material as it basically decomposes after you've cut down and dried that plant. So by using a two-way humidity control pack, Boveda is genuine two-way. It will put pure water vapor into a container that has cannabis flower in it, or in the event that it was a surplus environment where there was a lot of humidity, it would bring the humidity down to the number that's indicated on the pack. So it's really simple. It's a wonder of natural salt and water, which is basically all that's in that packet. It's in a membrane that allows water to pass from the inside of the packet to the outside, or vice versa, as needed. It's a fascinating technology that was developed by a couple of guys that worked at General Mills here in Minneapolis, a couple of food scientists, and now it's grown into. We're not a huge company, but we do one thing and we do it really well. So you can check us out online at bovedainc.com. We'd love to hear from you. We're excited to be involved with the show, and hopefully we'll have a chance to give away some Boveda in the future through your show.
Excellent. And I know you can also get it on Amazon, and there's over 100 different sort of stores and shops that would have it within the Canadian region. Of course, if you're listening to America, very easy, just order from Boveda Inc. as well, bovedainc.com. Drew, I really appreciate your time, man. It's great to get to know you, and I think the ladies all love you here. You're such a cool guy.
Yeah.
And part of that is, Minneapolis being so close to Canada, we're practically brothers, right? So,
And I'm happy to come up there and visit.
You're always welcome.
Melissa said, and we agree, we are definitely always welcome. We look forward to the partnership and doing these 5-minute marijuana reports brought to you by Melissa Rolston and Boveda Inc. every single Monday at 4:20. Thanks again, Drew.
Thanks, Todd.